what I know to anything. Like, I just need some outside ideas.
I gotcha. You kind of like hit a plateau and don't know what you're doing wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Alright. So, what about is your MMR?
Like between 2.5 and 2.7.
Alright. And is there a specific role that you prefer?
I usually play mid and carry.
Alright. So how this usually goes is we go through a replay so that I can, of one of your recent losses, so that I can, like, see how you're playing, what you're doing well, what you're not doing well. And I usually go with losses because it's not that you played much better or worse, it's just that when you made a mistake, you're more likely to be punished for it, so it's easier for you to see what I'm saying is, like, correct or not.
Sounds good.
Alright, so is there a specific replay you wanted to use?
Let me look real quick.
Right.
I played a few party games with my friends, and those aren't very representative of how things usually go, so I'll have to find a solo one.
Yeah, gotcha.
See, shoot.
Let me close my door real quick.
Would it also
Go ahead.
would also be a good idea? Should I pick a hero that I play a lot of too? Would that be a good idea?
Whatever you want. If you're playing a hero that you're not comfortable on, I can point out the specific mistakes of that too. I don't play mid too much, so like specific things like Meepo and Invoker, I might not know like the specifics of it, but I know the general of those heroes.
How about oops. This. Yeah, this SF game I think is. How can I? Let's see.
The one that you won? I can share my
It's an SF loss.
Alright. Is it the one with Clinks, Chaos Knight, Weaver, Witch Doctor, Invoker, Void, Treant, PA?
Yeah, I'm against Willow, PA, Trent, Invoker.
Yeah, right. So you're going
So
like
I feel like I did pretty well during the sort of laning phase, and I think it's one of my stronger parts is laning, but then after sort of people start rotating around and it's not so much you being in your lane and rotating occasionally to sort of more free flowing around the map, I kind of don't really know where to go or what to do.
Alright, well, Shadow Fiend's magic build is definitely one of the things that I don't know too much of, so this is going to be more general than it is specific to this hero.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Should I watch your screen now?
Yeah. So they actually have a, like, pretty decent team composition. The only thing that I would point out is they don't have an instant stun of any sort, except for like kind of her ult, and Chronosphere, of course. They don't have like too many weaknesses though. Aside from, I guess they don't really have any D push. That's about it. But you guys, you have way too many cores. So with that, I'd probably want to go a build more off of picking people off and getting kills rather than adding to the problem of we have too many people farming.
Yeah, okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's kind of like I had a game where we had an alchemist and a PA, and the PA was flaming the alchemist because now we have two people that are jungling, but the PA went Battle Fury first instead of like a Desolator, where if she went Desolator, the alchemist can farm fine and she can go take fights, but the alchemist can't really like go for like armlet blink or something because that build sucks on alchemist most of the time. So, with you being one of the, you're the only hero that you can like really control. So,
No, I think that maybe one of the reasons why my other cores have significantly less gold than me isn't because they're bad players, it's just because I was farming a large amount of the map, and CK can't really farm anything besides maybe wave and lane.
Yeah,
So
this guy
he didn't
can't
have anywhere
jungle
to
at
farm.
all.
Yeah. So I was
Weaver
kind of
and
taking
this
away
guy,
space.
these both can't really jungle too well. So this guy kind of can, but that's really just with his ult. And then later on, when he can spam his arrows, he's fine at it. So this is more specific, but it'd be like you're fine with taking jungle. But if like this CK and you are next to each other, you should go to the jungle and he should go to the lane. Because he can get a lot more relatively out of the lane than the jungle. And you can get about the same out of the jungle and the lane.
I have a question about your sort of, when you're playing the game, how much of it are you, how often are you actively thinking about, like, how should I do this, or is it mostly just sort of instinctive and you're just kind of acting on good habits you've made already?
I think all of Dota is really just you pick up a new thing and then you work on it until it's a habit, and then you move on to the next thing. I think that's most of what Dota is. And at this point, figuring out team compositions and my goal in that composition is one of those things that isn't second nature yet, but I'm working on. Which is the things that I'm talking about right now with the you need to be jungling if the CK can lane instead. You guys are more core centric, so if you can go more of a fighting build and give space for your cores, you guys are gonna win the late game anyways. Possibly. I don't know how well Dark Willow scales when she's played at her fullest potential, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, me and the Invoker had a disagreement in the previous game, so it was kind of fun to get to play against him.
Gotcha.
A little bit of banter.
And you should definitely be using your quick buy for more than just a bottle.
Just queue up a bunch of items. Okay.
Yeah, like there's no point to not just have this like full. And usually with any slots left, I'll like throw Tango's Clarity and a salve at the end, just so I can like last hit click this and then fly out the courier and then last hit instead of I have to open up the shop, I have to find where's the salve and then buy it, and that's like 2 seconds that you wasted when you could have just at the start of the game queued it all up. So here I'd probably have like bottle, treads, Aquila, or if you want to go Aquila first, you can do bottles like Aquila, boots, and then whatever. And here this is kind of a minor thing, but you're standing pretty far back when there's really no way this guy's gonna harass you. So you're just kind of like making your last hits harder on yourself. You could easily be like standing right here and not worry about him at all.
Okay.
And with SF, that kind of like adds up.
Yeah, because his early CS is so important. For sure.
Yeah, and your damage is so low. It's like every advantage you can get on your last hitting is really big. And here, I would be right-clicking this guy when you're, either he has to be on this hill, or you have to be within this small radius of your range creep. so that these creeps have vision of you. So when you right click this guy, the creeps aggro onto your hill, giving you more of an advantage on the last hits. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so then he has the uphill miss chance too.
Yeah.
If I pull them up.
And then also, you have less damage than him right now. You're about even already. But it also, let's say his range or his melee creeps go to your range creep, and your melee go to his range creep. Then you're also splitting up the field. So for him to be able to, you basically have all of his melees here in your range, and then all of your melees here in his range. So it's kind of like there's two different fields that you want to be last hitting on. And for him to be completely active in both, he has to be like standing right here, which is a lot more dangerous than you only having to stand right here for that.
Okay.
And then of course the uphill miss, and with him having, if he had more of a damage increase on you, like if you had less souls and you did this, a lot of situations arise where like 2 of these creeps are getting low and 2 of these creeps are getting low, and you
so
only
I can
have
guarantee CS even if I have less damage.
Yeah, it puts you in a situation like that.
How often during your lanes are you using sort of aggro tricks? Is it just all as much as you can, or
as much as I think it's going to be
and
useful to do it? Like sometimes there's just like not really a reason to do it, so it's just like you don't, just doing it over and over and over isn't always the best method. It's just kind of like right now you would be very good to right click this guy, pull these onto the low ground, and then these might stay with the melee creeps or they might go there. But either way, you'd rather have this on the low ground, right?
Yeah.
And what that allows you to do as SF is if he's standing next to the range creep when it gets low, you can just throw out one of these, get the last hit him, and yeah, you get 2 things accomplished with one spell.
Should I be sort of trading with him more than I am as well, or?
Let me look back through it real quick. The fuck? Alright, well. Yeah, I'm gonna speed it up and watch through it for that.
Do you play a lot of Pudge?
Yeah. I have like 3 times more games played on Pudged than any other hero.
Yeah, he's fun.
He's fun as shit, and he used to be viable like first pick like 6 months ago. Now it's kind of like there's too many other good roamers that can just kind of like shit on him. Of course, early you don't want to be being very aggressive. This is fine. I might have used a raise there to get the last hits, because you're just going to be sitting on the mana otherwise, and you're losing this 1.3 mana regen. So a minute from now, that raise would have been free. I wouldn't really. So far, there's no real like time to be more aggressive.
Okay.
Not that I see, but I'm also not the greatest mid. Mostly it's my last hits, but
You've already given me some helpful laning tips.
I'm trying to stick to the things that I know as like fact, because mid's probably one of my worst roles.
I'm not too interested in just the laning phase so much as what happens afterwards.
Right. I think at this point you should definitely be. You have full mana. You haven't cast a single spell in the entire laning phase. You should probably be pushing this out. Maybe trying to be aggressive, because the rune's gonna be spawning, or it is spawning. but I would have been. Come on, fucking pause. Like here, I would be like, I'm sitting on a ton of regen. I would check what he has. He has tangos. So if you do a huge trade on him, where both of you drop to 20%, he's gonna stay at 20% for a while. You're just gonna eat your branch and then bottle up a few times, and you'll be full. And then you'll get all your mana back, and then like right here, you could be nuking or the next wave. You can just nuke it down. Here, you can just nuke this down and then go get the rune. And
okay.
all you would have lost.
And I'd be at full.
Yeah.
I'd be at full, and he'd be at like 50%.
Yeah.
And I'd be able to, yeah, okay.
And you get all the lost hits, and he gets pushed back and all that. Yeah, I don't think have you used Raise a single time?
No.
See, you use Raise and you get a kill. Just use Raise more, lol. Yeah, here it's just kind of like, you should be nuking down the wave at this point. You have level 4 raises. Especially now, you have treads, you have a full bottle. I just nuke this down and then like go to a jungle camp and then come back, nuke it down again, do another jungle camp. Yeah, it looks like that's gonna be a lot of this. This is, I don't like that. The only reason that you won that is because the Invoker sucks.
Yeah.
If he just mans fights you in the melee range of your raise, he wins. If he just stands here and fights you, he wins. The only reason that he won was because he ran, or you won was because he ran.
Yeah.
And here I would be looking to just punch the creep wave, get it pushed out so that when he respawns, all these creeps are dead. You could get some tower damage here. I definitely right here raise this and leave. Because you're not gonna need to be here again for another like 35 seconds if you do that now.
What time about do the waves come to the lane? Is it like 55 and 25? I can just look at my next game.
It's right now. It seems like 27 seconds. Or it could just, yeah, it's, what is it? Yeah. No, that's 20 seconds ish. 20 seconds for the creeps to go from here to here, because that's where your creeps are. 20 seconds after they spawned. So yeah, if you nuked this down, you wouldn't have to be back until like 5 seconds after that for one of the melee creeps to be low enough for you to need the last hit or deny or whatever.
And then would I use that time to go farm jungle?
Yeah, you can jungle, you can shrine up if there are any. You can check for bounty runes, which you're doing now.
Did I get a pretty lucky rune here?
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, so do you have any questions about the laning phase so far?
No. But you've been giving me some useful tips, so
yeah.
I wasn't gonna say anything yet. Stuff about just pulling the wave down and
yeah. That's one of those things that like
mischance.
Yeah. That's one of those things that I still don't have fully like I don't know I don't have mastery over it yet. Like when to do it, why to do it, all that, but that's about the extent that I know of it so far. But I think that'll be very helpful, knowing that much.
So at this timing, should I have rotated another lane because I have Yules and I can pretty much guarantee a kill? I'm not sure if I do or not.
Well, the thing is, your ult's on cooldown until right now, and you used it really well when you killed the Invoker, and a lot of the ability of this is being able to one-shot anyone.
Yeah.
So I think like you rotating bottom right now would be good, which it looks like you do. So this is good. Carrying the TP is good. I would just like, I'd probably stay bottom until your creeps meet mid, and stay longer if it looks like you're gonna be able to either get the tower. Go ahead.
I see what you're saying, because you could get 2 waves then, because the bottom wave comes a little bit later, so you could farm the bottom wave and then TP mid and get that wave too.
Yeah, and it's you clearing out a wave here means that well, the point was if you stayed bottom until the creeps met mid, you could either take the tower or do a fuck ton of damage to it, and then get the creeps mid. So that, yeah, it's kind of what you were saying. And then it also, if the Invoker shows bottom, which he did anyways, then like he's an Invoker that's bottom, and he doesn't want to be here. He wants to be like safe, and being able to do this shit. But here, he's got all of this room that he has to deal with instead of, like, even with this tower down, it's a lot less room for you guys to fuck with him in. So he went bottom, which he shouldn't have, but if you stayed bottom, he'd be a lot more inclined to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And here I'd be looking top, because they're deep. They're pushing deep, and you have your blink. I wouldn't have blinked there. I would have saved it, looked top, been like, alright, they're at my tower. She just used her save. Now I can go kill them. And if you're here, it looks like it ends up fine. You could definitely kill this void.
Out. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe this PA too. They might get her anyways, but yeah.
I guess the PA just feeds there. You know?
Yeah, and then you kind of go late.
Yeah. If I was in there 10 seconds before, I probably could have gotten one and the assist on the other.
I'd say just TP there. Save yourself all the walk there, and then like on the way back you can like maybe quickly clear out a jungle camp too. Here, yeah, this is fine. Maybe, I kind of want you to be pushing bottom here, because these guys are going to respawn, and if the wave's at their tower, they're a lot more likely to go here, like TP here, and when you see that, you can go, like, push mid or top and get that tower. So this is one of those situations where I wouldn't mind that you're doing what we said at the beginning you shouldn't be doing, where you take the lane from the CK, and Clinks is kind of in that same position as the CK is at this point in the game. But if this is at the tower, then that gives you you either take the tower with his fucking searing arrows and strafe, or they react and this guy invises, you blink, and then you just like TP over here, do some jungle, or you come over here, push this, because either Invoker or PA or Dark Willow showed up there, and then they're like committed to being here for 70 seconds, whereas you can just, both of you can just like TP here or there and then run down and siege this.
Do you have any tips about playing against Dark Willow? Because that hero I struggle against.
The thing that I would point out here, is that I guess it's hard to see with her fucking thing.
I guess I could have saved my blink and then blinked around the ulti.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, you know that I don't think you can see the particle effect before the cast, the blue thing. Okay, so the step by step of this would be walk up to her, raise her with your max range one, and then wait for her to react. Like, you can raise her here with your max one, maybe. Yeah, you can definitely hit her with your max one. You might be able to hit her with your middle one. But yeah, do that. Hit one of these ones. Save your blink, and then if she reacts like this, keep your distance. Wait for this to run out, and then you can for sure kill her when she drops this shit, because you can hit her with a raise while she's doing her ult, and then Yules her, and then hit her with the final raise, and you would have hit 3 raises there. And then, like, if she's not dead, one right click will kill her. But the thing that I was going to point out is, if you can see the way that she's facing, you know at the very least, or the very most, that the fear's going to be over here. So if you blink, like, right here, when she's, like, 90% of the way done with her thing, then you're going to either dodge it, or she's going to have to re-channel it all. But it was hard to tell because she was like floaty and spinny and shit. And that's what feels bad. You just blink into the thorns.
No, this turns out alright.
Yeah.
In the end. Except I walk into the trap too many times. I can't remember this play for some reason.
I think there you just held your ult way too long. Part of it was you blinking into the raise, or the thorns at the start here.
I didn't play this too well because I get trapped 3 times, I think, by that Dark Willow field, which is just bad movement, I think. The choke point's a little tight, but like, yeah, 3 times is a little too much.
Feels bad. Yeah. Not too much to say about that except for, like, next time don't, I guess.
Yeah, and also ulti.
Yeah.
At some point in the fight.
Yeah. Like, I think the start of that fight, when you blinked in here and ran into the thorns, and then Yules the Invoker here, I probably would have ulted there, because there was, like, a Faceless Void over here and a Chrono, and there were, like, I think a few people over here. So it would have been, like, good enough to win the fight, I think. And you might have been looking for, like, the perfect one to one-shot the PA or something. Why didn't you do the combo?
I'm not sure. I think it might be because I have 28 souls.
Maybe, yeah.
I probably could have raised her, too, afterwards.
This is kind of obvious. I guess you're fine.
Yeah, I used the tornado there, but I was out of position for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you're confident that you'll be fine, you can do clowny shit like this just to take up their attention. Here, I think I would have just Yulesed them. To stop them from shitting on your clinks. Yeah. And part of that is just understanding that the only damage that they can provide in a Chronosphere is the Invoker. And the Void. So if you use the Void when you have your 3 other most important heroes in there, the worst that can happen is they get like Sunstrike and Meatballed. As opposed to right click to death and Sunstrike and Meatballed.
Oh no, I didn't ulti that right there. That
Yeah.
was just a mechanical mistake, I think.
I think you might be just trying to hold your ult way too much in all of the fights because you think that's all this build does. Maybe.
I'm playing too much for the one shot, not enough just to kind of team fight around it.
Yeah. Like, you don't have to murder somebody with it. Like, you still do 200 damage, and you attack 3/4 of a second. So you still do right-click a bunch. And then your raises also do a ton of damage, too. You can do, what is that, like 1100 damage or some shit? Yeah, you did like 1300 damage and you right-clicked her twice.
So in team fights, when there's more than one core doing the damage, I should definitely just throw out the ulti and hit as many heroes as I can, and not worry about one-shotting.
It's not as black and white as that, but like all Dota is consideration of a lot of different facts. There's no always situations, usually.
Okay.
So that's like think of like all of your decisions are on a slider based off of one thing or another.
Yeah, it's not binary sort of scale.
Yeah. So it's kind of like when there's only one core, and you can ult or Yules and one-shot them, the slider towards I'm just gonna one-shot moves, or the slider moves towards the I'm just gonna one-shot, as opposed to if they have like 5 right-clickers that are all stat-based, you're gonna move the slider to the I'm just gonna ult for my damage reduction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So this is when the game kind of turns around on us.
Well, it's kind of like you had a good lead, and you guys didn't really accomplish too much with it. Like I think like 5 minutes ago, they had like 2 people dead and you were all up and you guys didn't push or anything. And you're also playing blind, which is always fun. Here, you can't do anything to stop this push, so I'd be immediately running down here. Because then you can split push this, and if you can push it to this tower, especially with your catapult up, you make it so if they're pushing high ground and you still can't do anything, at least you can get a tier 2, and then push this. So they have to back after they take the tier 3, because you're at their tier 3, and they're gonna trade racks for a tier 3 from a solo SF. Which you might end up doing, but you kind of took a...
No, I don't. Like, I just go sit back and, like, watch them take my racks.
But if you took this, all that's alive to do anything to you, I think... Oh, I guess it's... I thought the Dark Willow wasn't there for some reason. But yeah, like nothing's stopping you from doing this. The Void's up in 30 seconds, and your whole team's not going to be up. Like, you don't want to fight until this guy's up, if you're going to fight. So you kind of had 30 seconds to do whatever you wanted down here. Because you can't do anything in your base, and they can't do anything about you doing it unless they back. So you would have definitely got a free tier 2 in this time, or at least a bunch of damage on it. And now, you didn't go bottom, and your bottom tier 1's going to be attacked soon. Instead of this being down, and this being here, maybe being at the tier 3, and maybe stopping them from going for the racks. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it all seems so clear. I'm like, why I do this in the game? But of course, it's hard to make a decision on the fly.
It's just kind of like...
It makes perfect sense, yeah.
Yeah, it's, I think it's, going back to the slider example, it's kind of like, when you know that they're pushing and you can't do anything about it, your default isn't far enough towards the, I'm just going to push because they can't stop me. So you need to work on trying to push more when you can't do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is kind of like an example of, this is a variance of they were taking your tower and you push bottom. This is like, your Weaver's dead. You don't really know where their team is. They could all be bottom, so you don't want to TP here and defend and then just like die, or some shit like that. So you go with the thing that you can get away with because they have enough people over here that you can do this. So this is kind of the same as you taking these. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'd be like, I definitely need a TP. Because you're strong, you can go try and like body them. But if you don't have a TP and like Invoker bots in like top, he can just take this for free if you're like slowly pushing mid and like Treant's protecting it and all that shit. Here I would have ulted this guy. Probably. Eh. I feel like you should definitely be doing something to this guy, and I don't know exactly what would be the perfect thing, but you could have triple raised him. Because you know the only thing that he's really going to do in the team fight is, like, ult. And then maybe try and help somebody with a living armor. It's not too big of a deal. So if you can stop him from doing that, which you definitely could, like if you triple raise him, he's like at less than half health right here, and if he keeps walking up, you can just kill him. Which his ult ends up not doing anything, but
Oof, the crit.
yeah, it feels bad. And then you die before your ult can come back in.
I didn't really know how to get back into that fight with the Willow thing there.
Well, you can run through here. And I guess that's just kind of like precision. Do you have the auto right click thing on?
No.
That thing is so good. And that makes it so easy to run through it, because I can just hold my mouse down and run through it like this instead of having to like stop and right click everywhere. And then it's also a lot easier for contesting bounty runes. Last hits are a lot easier too. I think it's a really good option to get in the habit of using.
That's the setting that's just whenever you hold down the right mouse button, it continually clicks for you?
Yeah, it's like, where is it? I think it's right here under options and then advanced options. It's 5 from the bottom. And here's another, this is fine because I only have 2 people alive. But like, never mind. I was gonna say if like there were more up, this is kind of like, you shouldn't be here.
That should be top if there's more people up.
Yeah, if there were more people. You're kind of backing here for nothing, and then the witch doctor dies while you do it. You saw the willow and the invoker bottom, so there's nothing stopping you from, at least if you're gonna AFK, do it while attacking these creeps, because now you have a situation where your witch doctor's dying and your tier 4s are gonna get attacked soon because you decided to do it here instead of here. Whereas if you did it here, you'd be able to just blink over, help with the fight, and this would already have been pushed out. So it's just kind of like understanding that you weren't any danger there. I don't think you thought you were, I just think you kind of instinctually went back to your well.
Yeah, it's not really clear what I'm doing there.
Yeah.
I think I sold something maybe, I don't know, but that was not the right time to do that. Do you go back through your own replays frequently?
I haven't been playing too much now, but I think it's very helpful to whenever you lose a game, if you're serious about it, you should be watching your replays and then try to identify what you could have done differently. But sometimes it's hard because sometimes like you're watching the game through the same lens that the game was played. So it's very hard to see what was flawed sometimes. And then other times it's just like, oh, well, I got this item and I should have got this one. I think this game's over at this point.
Yeah.
Did you have another replay you wanted to go over? We have another like 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, let me look.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah.
Be right back. Alright, I'm back. Do you have one?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe the Lina game, 2 down from that game.
This one.
Yeah. I feels like I have trouble ending games even when I'm reasonably far ahead. Although I'm not sure if this what happens here in this one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I watched the replay and you didn't seem like you had too many things that were glaringly wrong. Like, if I had to guess, I wouldn't say you're 2.5K. But I do think, like, you did a lot of small things right, but you did a lot of big things wrong. Like, not ulting, not split pushing when you could have, not taking objectives and all that stuff, which is literally like the only way you win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Were you mid this game?
I believe so. I can probably find a safe lane game if you want to do one of those instead.
It's up to you.
I think the Lina game should be fine.
I think you're going way too much into the regen.
Sorry, let me move back over to Discord so I can see your screen.
Right. Like, you had a sheep, you had a bloodstone, and a Yules at the end of the game. I think bloodstone got a lot worse when you lost your talent. I don't exactly know what the build on her is, though, so it's hard for me to say. I think Shadow Blade's really good on her, because you can Shadow Blade, set up a stun, and then blow somebody up. It's pretty good against the Viper, too. And then again, the quick buy you could be using a lot more.
So far as the rune versus blocking goes, should I just block or should I contest runes?
In this lane, it's worth it because if the creep wave's on his hill, you can't really go up. Like, you don't want to be standing right here against a Viper. And that's worth more than 100 gold. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It's just a slider again. I gotta gauge with the game situation.
Yeah. And then if it's like a matchup like SF versus Zeus, where you're both gonna be getting your last hits, and it's just like, it doesn't matter what happens, you probably want to get a rune there, because you're not gonna deny the SF, and the SF isn't really gonna deny the Zeus too much. But here, this is where I'd be like, I'm glad I have a salve right here so I can just click it and fly it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that nuke was a complete waste.
Was waste.
Yeah.
I could have gotten a CS with it too.
Yeah. If it wasn't a stun, it would have been good. But I think it was just kind of like, you asshole, you just took all of my health, I'm gonna get you back.
And it did like 70 damage.
It did almost more damage to you than it did to him. And this is just understanding how towers prioritize creeps. When all of the creeps are doing the same thing, it's just going to attack the closest one, which is this range creep. And that's something to watch for, or you're just going to keep losing this range creep and not understanding why. feels bad.
It seems like Viper has a lot of base magic resist. I didn't realize that until after this game. But that Laguna Blade
Yeah, he
took
has
like
15 more.
20%. Yeah. What are the strongest heroes currently, in your opinion?
In what position?
I guess mid.
I mean, we can look at what are the most picked. Who would be? I haven't really thought about it. Because I don't really.
What about?
I think
What about
Puck's.
just?
Go ahead.
What about just in general then?
For position 4, I've been spamming Clockwork a lot. But that's because the meta at the higher games is the supports pick first and second really for the team.
Yeah.
And if you don't pick first, then the other guy that's stuck supporting is gonna pick the position 4. So since I play position 4 mainly, I have to first pick, or the other guy who doesn't know how to position 4 is gonna take it. And Clockwork and Night Stalker are the only position 4s that I think are fine in like almost any game. Whereas I have a ton of Pudge games played, but if they pick like Puck, Quap, AM, or Pangolier, or anything that can just jump away after I hook in the early game, I'm useless the whole early game, and then I'm useless the late game also, unless I get like a miracle hook. Whereas Night Stalker, it's like there's not really a situation where you can't gank at night if you skill correctly. Like if you go 1-1-1 against any lineup, you can get kills. And then you can go 1-0-2 or 2-0-1 against those lineups that don't have like Quap, AM, Puck, all that. And then with Clockwork, you can at the very least power cogs the creep wave and like help pull it back, or like Clockwork also, if you roam a Pudge into a Clockwork, the Clockwork's gonna shit on the Pudge, because both of them, Battery Assault and Rot, are kind of the same, where it slows you down and does damage over time. The thing is, Battery Assault doesn't also hit the Clockwork, so Clockwork wins the trade a lot, and the Pudge can't TP out, and he has to just run away. So I think those two are probably the best position 4s right now. I think the Shadow Shaman and Lion are really good because their Hex isn't dispellable anymore. I've seen Rubik picked a lot. I think it's because this thing can be really good in a lot of situations when you switch it. And it's just kind of like, now if you need it, you all of a sudden have 22% more magic damage on your whole team for like one small change. Silence or Dazzle, of course, those guys are always going to be pretty good in certain games. For mid, Medusa, if she's not countered, can be really fucking annoying.
Yeah, that hero is not fun to play against at all.
Yeah. And then what else would be? I think TA is pretty good. With her thing doing damage now. SF, I've seen a lot of. Dark Willow, I've seen a lot of. Or not a lot of, but like certain people that know how to play her are pretty good because nobody really knows how to play against her just yet.
Yeah.
Who else do I see mid a lot? Quaps, of course. OD's a good bit. Pucks a lot.
Yeah, I like to play Puck against Quap. That's a pretty fun matchup to play.
Yeah. Storm, Invoker, of course. I've seen I think probably...
Oh, I hate Taker so much.
Yeah. I've seen a good bit more of him. But I think those are the main ones. I don't really think I'm missing out on anyone. I haven't really seen much Ember. Maybe some Razor. Like, more Razor than usual, but not, like, enough to say he's picked a lot. Sniper, Viper, yeah, I think I covered all of them. And then carries, like, it's basically, if the hero can get babysat for 3 or 4 minutes and then dominate the lane from there, and then rotate to the off lane at 8 to 12 minutes, then he's a good carry. So, like, Chaos Knight, Morphling before they shit on his,
Yeah, the morph.
yeah. PA is kind of good. I haven't seen her too much. Who else?
I like playing AM. I'm playing a decent amount of AM.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He feels strong.
Even with his nerfs, I think he's still pretty good.
His talents all feel very, very good.
Yeah. Juggernaut. Luna's really good, I think. Who else? Lycan, he recently got a huge ass win rate. He had like a 73% win rate in 5k plus, but I haven't seen him at all, thankfully.
So he's just a super situational pick that works well in certain cases, like Huskar?
I think it's more of just like he's really good, I just haven't ran into him.
Okay. You think about Monkey King?
He's situationally really good, I think. Venge is also situationally really good, but I don't really know exactly what the situation is. It's just kind of like some games she's like pretty dominant, and then others she's useless. I think Razor can be a pretty good carry if you have the right build for it. Terrorblade's amazing. I think Troll and Ursa might be pretty good. I think Gyro still sucks.
Do you play Coddle at all?
Not really. I think he's a lot better in a team environment. Because then you can like play him like, I want my carry to be here in 30 seconds, so I'm gonna run out there. As opposed to in a pub, he's just gonna like, alright, well, you're not gonna push.
Yeah.
I think Jakiro is pretty good, because the only thing that I don't like about him as a position 4 is he's another babysitter, and usually your position 5 is one of those. So when you can win the lane as a position 1 and a 5, and you can't help the off lane as a Jakiro, you're just kind of useless for the first 10 minutes. Because it's like, top's already won, bottom's unwinnable, I can't go mid. But, like, with Clockwork or Night Stalker, that's, like, not really ever the case. I think Omni might be really good again soon. I haven't seen too much of Sven. I don't think he's too polarizing right now. I haven't seen any Wraith King. Yeah, do you have any questions about specific heroes?
No, not really.
So let's go through some more of this real quick before we wrap it up. This game, I think, I don't know if the Lina right-click build is still viable, but if it is, I think it would have been really good this game. Because you have enough control and all of that through these 3 heroes. But you don't really have anyone that can take a tower really well. Except for Spectre in the like really late game.
So like Deso?
Maybe.
Deso kind of thing?
Shadowblade for sure. I don't really know the build too well, so I can't exactly say. It's just kind of like you guys are going to run into a problem where you can't take Roche, you can't take towers, except for with Shaman's ult. And then, like, also with your magic build, what do you do when Nyx rages on your entire team? You just kind of, like, have to run away, and there's no way to deal with him. But if you had the right-click build, at least, if he's stuck in cogs, you can do some damage to him. And the game is probably going to go pretty late, or you guys are going to end it really early.
This game goes real late, I think.
Yeah. The reason that I say that is because they have a Viper and a Coddle. So they have a lot of D-push. And then if you guys don't have any tower with the build that you're going, you don't have any right click for towers unless the Shadow Shaman is playing around his wards off cooldown, meaning he's dropping them like every 2 minutes. You guys aren't going to be able to take the towers and take the Roche and then take the high ground if he isn't doing that. So the game's, with that in mind, the game is likely to go very late. And from that, I think the magic build falls off a lot.
Yeah, I think that now that you mention that, I probably shouldn't have picked Lina at all.
What pick was she?
I probably last picked.
If you were last pick, let's just assume you are, so we can look at what you should pick. If it weren't for the Viper, I'd say TA. Here's...
I don't know if this would be viable at your MMR, but where I play, like a Luna mid is something that can be strong.
Yeah, it doesn't work at this one. I'd say a sniper would be really good here.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have 2 tanky frontliners, and then this guy also eventually. It can push towers safely, and it doesn't care too much about Viper past the first few levels. And Rage doesn't stop anything, Spin doesn't stop anything. And then the game's going super late because of the Coddle, but it's also going to go super late because you can just shrapnel if they try and high ground. So I think the pick this game was Sniper. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ouch.
Yeah, like I got fucked. And the way that I decide that, like, the whatever the fuck the word is, the way that I can communicate to you why I would think that is they have 2 magic immunes. They also have a lot of magic resistance, and then they have 4-ish cores, and they have a ton of wave clear. So what all that means is spells aren't going to be that great. The game's probably going to go late, and with you having a Spectre, you're fine with it going late, but also looking at your team, the only way you push is if your Shadow Fiend or Shadow Shaman is competent and he's getting a Midas. And you have the bodies that you need in front of you to pick Sniper. So you have tanky control. You just need somebody that can utilize it. And that all, to me, points at Shadow Shaman, or Sniper.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I think we're about out of time. I think we're like 5 minutes over or something.
Alright, yeah. So could you just give me like 3 of the main points that we've talked about? The sort of creep aggro, getting the lane, and then pushing.
I think the
when,
pushing
I
is
can't
one of the
defend.
big ones. Utilizing that is going to win you so many games, where when they pushed this tower and you could have gone here, that's going to win you so many games. And like, even if you only got this tower, you would have got like 1,000 extra gold pushing this lane, and your team would have got like an extra 200 each, and they wouldn't have been at this tower the second that they leave this, which is, all of those are fucking huge. And that's all from one critical mistake of you running this way instead of you running that way. So that's the biggest. I would say we should wrap it down to that is the one thing, instead of having it 3 things. That's the one thing you should focus on before we come back and do another lesson.
Sounds
and,
good.
and I'm going to be gone for like a week, so I can't do a lesson for a week. So that's what you should focus on, is looking for the opportunities to go split push when you know you can't contribute to whatever is happening. And again, that Roshan you guys took falls into that category. So it's not just, alright, they're in a lane, I'm going to go to a different lane. It's like all of, they're stronger than us or whatever, and they're in this spot, but I'm stronger than the creeps in this spot, so I can go there without carrying. And if they react, then they've compromised whatever they're doing, and you can safely back and then prolong the game, and then hopefully get a pick off or wait until it swings in your favor or whatever.
Okay.
So do you have
I
any
will-
questions on that or from there?
No, because that was a very glaring mistake when we looked back at it.
Yeah.
It was clear that that was
I
just
think
sitting back and
Yeah. At that point, the game was like 30% you favored, 70% them favored. But if you did that, it would have been like 45, 55. Probably more like 40, 50, or 40, 60, but still. So yeah, I think that was the biggest mistake of that game. And if you can just change that, you're going to win a lot of games that you shouldn't be winning. Because again, you're at like 2.5k or whatever, so you're going to have so many openings like that at that level, and they're just not going to punish you for taking advantage of it.
Alright.
So I'm going to stop.